the start of some videos, I'm going to include a little piano playing, usually some improv. Hope you enjoy, and see you in the reaction. Welcome back to more Xenoblade Chronicles 2, and today I'm going to listen to a track that supposedly comes from a cutscene somewhere called Past from Far Distance. And I think this might be, actually, it looked like this is a track that might feature some choir. Might either be the Slovakian Bratislava Symphony Choir or the Irish Chamber Choir Anuna, not sure how they pronounce that. And that Mitsuda has been a fan of them since the 1990s and claimed their performances for Xenoblade Chronicles 2 made him cry. So I'm really curious about that because I went up and looked them up a little bit and listened to a little bit of their performance, and it was really wonderful. I love good choral music. It can be so unbelievably precise and artistic. I have been to some concerts with choirs like the Estonian Philharmonic Chamber Choir, who are also unbelievable, and that was one of the greatest concerts I've been to. That was at the Duke Cathedral at Duke University, which is a great venue for, that kind of choir acoustics. Yeah, that was amazing. Anyways, Past from Far Distance. Oh, shit. Bring in more instruments now, maybe? Oh, yes, it doesn't. Yes. Oh my god. This is unbelievably good. Oh my god. Back to the start. Right there, the higher voice dips down one step and it turns into this really minor key sound, which is really stunning. And then another voice moves and now we have a really dissonant set of adjacent notes. It goes from the minor sound to this really crunchy dissonance. And then that incredible chord. So epic. Classic cadence. Classic half cadence. And it starts back up low. It's fantastic part writing. Like, this is like legitimately fantastic choral writing. Like, again, as somebody who's seen some great choirs of the world perform live and perform masterpieces, like, I would be happy to have heard this at any concert. Like, this is not what I was expecting to hear from this soundtrack, but this might be like so far like my favorite thing I've heard yet. I like all sorts of different kinds of music, but this is absolutely stunning. I wonder what playlist I would put this on, because it's clearly, if it's just isolated choir the whole time, of which I'm a huge fan, I don't even know if I have a place to put this, or if I can reasonably make a new playlist for like just choral works. Damn, I'm absolutely enthralled. Like, for example, I know I'm just going to keep talking, but for example, like the Soulsborne series has a lot of use of choir, and for the most part, it's a classier use of choir. I say classy, not classical, because I mean something a little different than just classical. But it's like a little bit more refined, closer to like classical art music use of choir than some other things that just use choir to support like the very epic, kind of film score sound, where it's just like, okay, we're throwing in tons of timpani and percussion and booms and choir, like, just to make it more dramatic and epic. Like the Soulsborne series, for example, oftentimes, it has that motivation a lot, but it usually does it in a more refined way, in some ways that are really cool or dissonant or feel like, legitimately art. This, I think, is beyond, like, if this was a section in one of the Soulsborne soundtracks, like if Elden Ring or Bloodborne had a track somewhere that was this, even just what I've heard so far, 30 seconds, it would be like some of the best choir on those soundtracks. And it would fit. Like, this could be in Bloodborne. Yeah, and it would like be a step up from some of that writing. Not to diss on that soundtrack, it's an incredible accomplishment. Ludwig the Holy Blade is like such an amazing piece of music. But anyways, that's just an example of how good I think this is. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm forgetting some just solo choral works in Soulsborne that are like this or exceed this, but just like really speaks to me. And let's see where it actually goes, because I can't get past the first 30 seconds. And the kind of tenor that steps up and back down is so good. Now it sounds quite medieval, a little bit Monteverdi, but then it goes away from that. I love just the shift in registers down to the lower male voices. Ooh, what a choice of chords there. Back up. Yes, repeat this melody, please. Yes. Yes, ends a little differently, as it should. Beautiful major chord. Does it again. Oh, it does it, but it goes into weird dissonance. Yes. And that's a major chord. And then does this beautiful dissonance. Oh, shit. How does it resolve? Okay, it uses it to end the section, so it doesn't necessarily show off like how it would figure out to resolve that. Moves on to the harmony, the connected harmony for the next disconnected section. But, I was curious if it was going to do any interesting trick to like immediately resolve that dissonance. Would have been cool, but still cool the way it is. Gotta back up again 5 or 10 to hear that, because goddamn. And it might not even be that dissonant. Something about it feels very dissonant, but I think it might like intervallically not be the craziest dissonance. And you could probably explain it in context in this idiom. But for that exact vertical slice, it is pretty dissonant. But it has the lower voice moving in a stepwise motion going downwards. So like, some of the notes in that stepwise pattern do work consonantly with that upper note. It just so happens to be the one it starts on is harsh. And that is certainly something you see a lot in, say, Bach, where a lot of rules of like what should sound good together are broken. His own rules that a lot of music theory is derived from are actually broken aggressively by him. But you can still find ways to creatively explain it through this kind of Bachian music theory of part writing, because it's like, well, this is a note that precedes the notes that are going to match with it. When it starts, it happens to line up dissonantly, but this is in a downward stepwise motion in the lower voice that eventually gets there. So it's like, there's a bit of like a sense of a suspension or anticipation going on, that sort of thing. You could use terminology to talk about it, but in reality, it creates a lot of interest with how it sounds, and you're trying to sort of wrap your head around like where it fits sonically. It just really stands out to me, and a lot of people like a lot of Bach because of this. Like, he will do things that are actually very unusual, extremely unusual, and that's what keeps it interesting from him. You're not just listening to classical music, you're listening to masterpieces that do a lot of very inventive stuff that's surprising. Yeah. Yeah, the lower voice is doing that. Different rhythm. Great chord. Really rich. Now the rhythm's going to keep more active. Oh no, it's still doing this. Beautiful soprano. That's an interesting end to that section. Very short section. Has some separated rhythms, then it comes more connected, and it's very soft in these final chords that get sung. I love the dynamics there. Whoa. Gorgeous. What a harmonic shift. The tenors really increase in volume there. Wow. It's almost like a Mozart kind of choral writing now. Holy shit. Well, I'm not surprised that Mitsuda said some of their performances for the game made him cry. I would be surprised if it was this choir. It sounds like it was the Irish Chamber Choir, because based on looking at a bit of them, it sounded like them, absolutely sounded like them, and something that could be written for them. So, could be wrong, but I don't think so. Maybe this says which tracks, but yeah, I don't know. But I could see this being a performance that would make you cry. I mean, it's that, it has that potential as music. Like, this is legitimate, wonderful part writing for choir. Like, it moves through some different styles. There's parts that are very Bach, there's parts that are very, very Mozart, from kind of different eras, but enough that they blend together well. And just, but it's not like it's just about like recreating styles. It's about making it its own piece of music. It's about the specific moments that happen in it, not just is it mimicking something else in a general style. That's not really going to be a good way to write something. And it just has individual moments that, like, maybe there are moments you could find in other choral writing in classical music. Maybe if you need that exact thing, you can go to a bigger, fuller piece that does something similar. Maybe that's the case. But, like, I don't know. I think the combination of things happening here and some of the individual moments you're only going to find here if you're looking for it in 3 minutes, especially. Absolutely outstanding. This is one of the best things that I've heard on this channel so far. Maybe the best. Wow. I really just not sure where to put it. I could put it under Beautiful Tranquility, but it is going to seem very different from these other pieces. Very different. I might have to make one that's just called like Solo Choral and just say, I don't know, I'll figure this out later. Like, I don't know. Like, what if I just go with something like this? And I don't know. This is going to be like, huh? Question mark? What do I do with this? I don't know, but it's happened before. And I do have a solo piano section. Although this is not, I think, like a fully solo piano piece. Or maybe it was. I've already forgotten. But at least mostly solo piano. And this can be like mostly solo choral, choir. So this is from Chronicles 2. And it was called Past from Far Distance. It has accidentally bolded it again. Let's unbold that. Okay, so choral question mark. I might have actually had that hidden behind the camera. I didn't realize until I tabbed back over. Yeah, that was absolutely stunning. That was so beautiful. It was so well written. I have so much respect for writing that, and I can only imagine what it was like to record that and hear this composition you've written sung by a choir like that incredibly well. Brilliant. And I'm wondering if that is a Mitsuda track from the soundtrack. I hope it is. But whoever wrote it, if it was Yatsunori Mitsuda or not, wonderful job. What an amazing short choral piece. I would love to hear this in a concert with a choir live in front of me. Yeah. Wonderful recommendation. It was so good. I hope to hear more stuff that has this kind of impact on me. Truly, truly deeply enjoyed this. And I will see you next time. Have a nice day.